Welcome back, everybody. Mike McConville here again, Stratford, Ontario, Canada for StringTech Workstations. We have a Gibson Explorer in today, and we've just removed the nut, nice and clean, no lumber, right on the glue line. This, of course, will be getting a compensated nut. This is another one that came up from the States, from Pennsylvania. So the Explorer was sort of forward-thinking, modernistic guitar at the time. As weird as it looks, it's actually very comfortable to play. The waist sits comfortably on your leg, and this sort of point, or the lower bout if you want to call it that, you can rest your arm on there, put your hand right in between the two pickups over the bridge. Beautiful design as far as comfort goes, and obviously very striking and very forward-thinking for the time. Now, I've marked all the sort of spots on this one. Apparently it was done with one of these CNC machines, but they missed a few spots, but we're going to get it on the tech deck. So the other thing we have on the go is this Relish guitar. Now this is today's sort of modern age forward-thinking guitar. And I was going to say it's like the Swiss Army knife of guitars, but the last time I was talking to Thomas when he was picking up his tech deck, he was raving about this guitar. But here you go. This is the inside. I'm going to flip it over. I'll show you before I'm done. And it's renewable sources, right? So it's bamboo fingerboard, stainless steel frets. I don't know if that's American walnut or Persian walnut top. So this is the Walnut Jane model. We're going to have a real good look at this thing. It's got that the sort of foil logo, much like the Paul Reed Smith. But maple neck, 25.5-inch scale, ingenious design, and renewable resources. Bamboo fingerboard, what a great idea. Bamboo is like super hard, super resilient, and actually less susceptible to cracking than ebony. So I do these two jobs in tandem. Step by step, I go from one guitar to the next. And the frets are now flawless, perfectly level, perfectly recrowned, and buffed to a mirror shine. And the Relish guitar is also done. So we're going to take a closer look at this Relish guitar. A few pretty interesting things about it. We've already determined that nice press fits. We've got the string spacing done. Check this out. Magnets. How sensible is that? You gotta watch your finger too. This really pulls it on, eh? So you can see those saddles are, this one's just about bottomed right out. This one as well. But we had just enough to squeak by and get that intonation in. No need for a wraparound on this because there's still a good 11th thou of clearance between the edge of the back of the bridge, and part of that is due to the fact that those saddles are moved right back. Here too we've got a good we've got a good 12th thou clearance there as well. So the frets are dressed, pickups are set up properly, all this hardware was sort of tightened up. I took a couple of runs at this, went through 3 sets of strings, to get this thing to line up perfectly. I'll bring it in the studio and you'll hear for yourself just how accurate it is. 10 to 46 in concert pitch. I do have that new top attached for this 62 or 63 Southern Jumbo, and still working on the neck angle. I want to tilt it back just a little bit more. I'm going to work on that tomorrow, and then we'll get Darcy to blow the finish in. Very happy with that top. Went on beautifully. Okay, here's some features of this guitar that I wanted to kind of show you before it goes. Here's both pickups. And there's just the neck pickup. Here's just the bridge pickup. Again, both pickups. I'll get everything wide open here. Here we go. Just the bridge pickup. Just the neck pickup. Both pickups. Bridge pickup. both pickups. Anyway, just wanted to show you that before this thing leaves. So I've looped a progression there in F sharp major, I guess. Yeah. So I'll let that play and just switch the pickups around. Let you have a listen. Both pickups. Just a bridge pickup. Both pickups. I've laid down a couple of layers there, the sort of diatonic tenths over the initial chord progression, and then the start of a little lead lick. So I'm going to let that play. I'll just finish up with a harmony to that short little lead that I did. Okay, here we go. Remember, we've got this magnetized back. So that's the back. So this, if you look on the edge here, this is solid aluminum machined to that sort of shape for a frame. And then you've got this aluminum strut that goes right through. And this is what the neck attaches to this aluminum block here. And then the whole thing is covered up with a magnetized back plate. How's that for slick? Well, I removed the original black plastic nut because the strings were kind of grabbing and catching on it, and I replaced it with this water buffalo tusk. So here's what I started with, this chunk of water buffalo tusk that someone got at a garage sale and gave to me, I don't know, 30 years ago. And then I kind of band-sawed the sort of rough shape, and then we ended up with this when it was all said and done. So we got a compensated water buffalo tusk nut on this one. And wait till you hear how accurate this tunes. Have a listen to this tuning check. Try it out on your guitar at home. Okay, so here's a moment of truth. Here's our low E string and the note F. So next we'll check the octaves. That's of course what everybody does, right? And lastly, we'll play the 7th fret note and the corresponding octave. A string 7th fret and 19th fret. D string 7th fret and 19th fret. A G string 7th fret and 19th. B string 7th fret and 19th. And lastly, the high E string 7th fret, 7th and 19th. So we'll just wrap it up with a few chords. And like you've seen me do in other videos, I basically play the same chord in multiple positions for the final verification of balancing the intonation along the entire span of the neck. Here's a E major 9. Here's an A minor 9. Okay, here's a C chord. F chord. G chord. D chord. Here's A major. B. And finally, I've mentioned this in other videos as well, if you play that sort of C chord form and move it up to the 8th and 10th fret. Now the chord is actually a G chord, but it's that C form that everybody knows. Move it down to the 3rd and 5th fret, which is D, then finally to C.